Prohibition begins in the United States with the 18th Amendment banning the sale of all alcohol in all states. The year is 1920, and this Garford truck could be ordered from your Garford dealer. But before getting into this one, I'm your host, Jay. Welcome to What It's Like, the automotive channel that loves telling company histories that you may or may not know on brands that went under long, long ago. If you're into automotive history, subscribe and hit the bell icon next to it to never miss a video. Real quick, before getting into the meat and potatoes, and this is absolutely nuts, but Hershey, for those that don't know, Hershey is the AACA, or Antique Automobile Car Club of America. Eastern Chapter Fall Meet is up in Hershey Park. It's actually at the parking lot of the amusement park, Hershey Park, Pennsylvania. It's a huge swap meet. Car Corral RM is hosting an auction, which I just looked at the cars that they're offering for sale is absolutely incredible, as it always is. Hershey's like the kickoff before winter. I have a 3800 series 1952 Chevy 1-ton truck that is going to be for sale. It has a 350 Chevy V8 4-speed stick SM420 synchro mesh unit. My favorite transmission, I believe, of probably that era. 373 rear end. It's up on 19.5 radial tires. It's set up to drive anywhere, anytime, and it gets great gas mileage for what it is. It will be at Hershey. Actually, I'll be at Hershey all week from the 7th through the 10th. So if you're out in Lancaster and you have a car that you would love to see featured on the channel, or perhaps maybe you'll even be at Hershey, drop me a line at @yahoo.com. Yeah, so just shoot me an email if you're interested. Garford Company was founded in 1908 in Elyria, Ohio, and it was known as different names during the company's existence from 1908 through 1915, Garford Company, 1915 through 1926, Garford Motor Truck Company. Relay Motors would take over Garford Truck Company in 1927. They would have it until 1933. Consolidated Motors 1933 through 1934. Garford Company grew out of Federal Machining Company, which was manufacturing automotive components since 1903. Garford supplied Studebaker chassis at one point in time. It wasn't until 1908 when Garford would start building its own trucks. Garford, with their very first truck, was a 4-cylinder, 5-ton capacity chain drive. The engine was under the seat. Garford trucks were built job tough with quality parts, all built by Garford. It's important to note that because the company marketed the trucks as Garford built, not assembled. Assembled cars was a big thing back then. There were a ton of companies that were getting parts from catalogs and they were just assembling the cars in-house. Think Jordan, think Cole. By 1914, Garford offered all kinds of different truck configurations from 2-ton to 6-ton. The 1.5-ton would come in 1915. They had an extensive 75-page catalog showcasing all of their offerings. The lineup expanded yet again in 1916, offering 3/4-ton all the way up to 10-ton trucks. Garford trucks saw extensive use in World War I, being used in European countries during the war, building some 6,500 trucks for the Allies, plus 1,000 Liberty trucks. Garford also made an armored truck built in Russia called Garford Putilov, which only 48 were made. It's important to note that Garford had nothing to do with the Ford Motor Company, despite Ford being part of the name. Garford built cars for a time, but that side of the business was sold to Willis Overland in 1912. From 1913 on, Garford only built commercial vehicles. In 1927, Garford was bought by Relay Motors, which was to be the General Motors of the truck world. Relay controlled a bunch of companies, bunch of trucking companies like Commerce, Service, Relay, and now Garford. Their mission was to offer a truck for any task in the 1-ton to 4-ton configurations. They were all to be powered by Buda 6-cylinders. Relay claimed to have the most powerful truck that could be had at the time, which was the Duo Drive. It was 275 horsepower. It was powered by two straight 8 engines capable of 60 miles per hour in 1931. Unfortunately, Relay was forced to liquidate by creditors. Commerce and service truck production died instantly. Relay and Garford would go on and produce trucks for one more year before giving up the ghost. 1920 Garford truck was offered from 3/4 ton all the way up to the big commercial. Garford would sell you the chassis and running gear. The cab was an additional cost, and it could be configured to fit your needs. Let's talk specs. Wheelbase, it varies. Chassis weighs about 4,000 pounds. Price, $1,990, which would be equivalent to you spending $32,235.61 in the year 2025. Moving on to engine. The engine powering this one was 226 cubic inch displacement flathead inline 4, supplied by Buddha. It was rated, or it had a National Automobile Chamber of Commerce, NACC rating of 22.5 horsepower, 35 horsepower at 3,000, estimated 61 pound-feet or 82 newton meters around 1,800 RPM, with a bore of 3 3/4 inches and a stroke of 5 1/8 inch. 3 main bearings. I found this wooden workhorse of a truck at the Greenfield Village, Dearborn, Michigan, part of the Old Car Festival, which is the best car show this side of the Mississippi. It's more than a car show. It's an experience. People dress period correct. It's like going back in time for a weekend. And I'm going to put the Greenfield information here, so if you want to check that out next year, you totally can. It's always the weekend after Labor Day. Let's talk styling. But before doing that, for those that never made it to the end of an episode, there is a full walk around of each car or truck at the end of each episode without me talking. So everything is very utilitarian with this vehicle. A very husky, beefy frame. Headlights are mounted to pedestals. Hand crank. There's even a spot on the radiator shroud for a license plate bracket. Distinctive radiator shroud fitting. Coco inspired, even though the owner has never seen or saw the movie Coco. Inspired mascot on the radiator shroud. Cow lights. Floating fenders. The doors slide on the cab. Also notice the use of wood in the cab region, and I'm pointing that out because I read somewhere that Garford was one of the first truck manufacturers to push all steel cabs, but this one's made of wood. This one has the deluxe 5-window cab, riding on pneumatic tires. Just coming around here, looking at the bed. Just check out that massive wood load. It looks like the owner hit the lottery. So just check out this engine. Looks like everything's gear driven. The belt is clear back inside here. Runs a fan. Gas pump. It's got the starter there.
Up, number 716, a 1920 Garford 1 1/4 ton truck. This was brought to us by Thomas Sampson of Columbia Station, Ohio. And we touched on Garford a bit earlier when we were talking about Studebaker's early history with the Garford company. And Studebaker was marketing some Garford automobiles in the early 20th century. But the company also had a strong history with commercial vehicles as well, as we see here.
Yes, Garford, based out of Lima, Ohio, 1909 to 1933. They built large and they're fairly well-known brand name trucks. Later in its life, it became part of a combine with Relay Service and Commerce Trucks. But in 1916, Garford's 3/4-ton truck had a 4-cylinder engine with chain drive and a choice of solid or pneumatic tires. Price of $1,350. Of course, we're looking at years later here, but let's say that's not unusual on those early trucks. The choice of the solid rubber tires, thinking they would hold up a little better under heavy loads.
Indeed, yeah, the pneumatic tire, especially for the truck, developed by Goodyear. Did a drive in, I think it was 1919 that they did the famous cross-country drive.
That's right, yeah.
Goodyear pneumatic tires. And I'm actually very interested to ask the gentleman driving. I noticed the Theodore Kuntz company sign on the side here. Theodore Kuntz, of course, a well-known bodybuilder out of Cleveland, Ohio. Is there a specific reason the sign is on the truck? Is this a Kuntz truck body?
This is he was my great-grandmother's uncle.
Oh, fantastic. All right, yeah, Theodore Kuntz, an amazing body. The early white steam cars had Kuntz bodies on them. Fantastic. I appreciate seeing that.
Guys, I understand we're about to get raided by the revenuers here, so if you haven't had a chance to peek in the back of this truck when it's parked there might be just something you want to be aware of.
Yeah, I think there's more than meets the eye with that stack of lumber back there, folks. So take a close look when you see them along the Christie Street there.
I'll be over as soon as we're done talking.
All right. Thank you so much.
I take my martinis dry.
Non-synchro gear?
No,
3-speed or 4?
3. First is kind of like a granny gear, so I usually just use second, third.
It's almost like a cab over because that hood's so short. But there is a hood. Here, walk through the dash. Like, you got your ignition. This does...
That's the choke. That's the choke.
That's
this
the choke.
Is your ignition. This is your headlights here. Turn that.
Cool.
And then that's the amp gauge. And that's oil pressure.
This is the actual dash light?
Yeah.
Does it come out as a flashlight?
No.
Or- okay.
No. And then these are kerosene lights, and they also has the electric lights in them too. That was an option. 1920.
On the positive side, these are conversation pieces when you see them now, because they used to be everywhere and now they're nowhere. They were built to last. Heavy duty, husky framed truck. Can be fixed with a hammer on the side of the road. This one featured a hidden covered storage container on the back, which is incredible. Great visibility, windshield opens, sliding doors against it. Information, people that know these vehicles' parts have to be made. There's only room for 2 adults and maybe a small child in between those 2 adults inside the cab. It's rather tight. All right, now it's time for Would You Rather Truck Edition. One scenario. Which one of these would you rather have? 1920 Federal or 1920 Garford or 1920 Jeffrey Quad, which was eventually made by Nash, I believe, in 1920. Anyway, I'm going to leave this here for a minute. If you need more time, feel free, pause the video. Now it's time for Name That Tune. First person to get both the name of the band, song title, and the lyric that comes next. You need all three today to have your comment pinned to the top of the comment section. Seems to me I can live my life a lot better than I think I am. I know that was a super easy one, but they can't all be hard. Thank you so much for coming out and watching this one. If you'd like to get in touch with me, shoot me a comment in the comment section below. I'll be in Hershey all week this week. So if you're out in the Lancaster, Hershey area and you have a vehicle in your collection that you would love to see featured on the channel, I'll be out there the moment you see this video. So drop me a line at what_its_like@yahoo.com. Thanks again for everything that you guys bring. I love the stories. I love reading all of the comments. And I just love that this is a car community, way more than a car channel, that I'm very much a part of. And this is all I ever wanted to do. And just thank you guys so much for making that possible. Till next time, toodaloo! Welcome to the after show. This part of the video doesn't have any sound or commentary, but it gives you the opportunity to see this vehicle in its entirety without a millennial trying to explain things that you can see with your own eyes. Enjoy.